Here on the ground, change happens fast. Problems feel frequent and urgent. It's loud and anxiety runs high. From a satellite view, the Earth looks the same as it did thousands of years ago. We've been here before. Let's learn from our past and shoot for a better future.
Hello and welcome to this episode of A Satellite View. I'm Todd Mikkelson, your host, speaking at you from November 21st, Sunday, 2024, in the space and time continuum. I took last weekend off. I did not do the show. I went on a really nice trip out east to visit some friends for a Pinnacle birthday celebration. And it was a really nice trip, really nice to take a break. I didn't even have access to the internet for most of my trip, and that was really nice, actually. That seems like 2 weeks ago. The last time I did this show seems like a month ago. Election day seems like 2 months ago. Time has slowed down because time has gotten so full of so many crazy things. And we're going to talk about it here on the show. I'm looking at my note page here, and it's so full, I'm not sure where to start. But I am going to point out, normally, you know how I have my Twitter page open? I tell you I have my Twitter page open because I sometimes just browse down it because I keep track of news stories. And, of course, Elon Musk has turned Twitter into a show of monkeys flinging feces at each other. He changed the name to X. Because he's got some weird obsession with it because he's a idiotic, mentally addled child. I do not have my X/Twitter page open today. I have my Blue Sky. I'm on Blue Sky. Go to Blue Sky. Get off Twitter. I'm still on Twitter, but I haven't looked at Twitter now for 3 days because I'm on Blue Sky. Blue Sky is like Twitter was 10 or more years ago. A great place to gather news, actual news, not QAnon BS, not a bunch of absolute assholes trying to hassle everybody, trying to troll everybody, because they don't allow it. I mean, if you're on the right, you're welcome to come to Blue Sky, but you are not welcome to hassle us anymore. And we can block you. Elon Musk got rid of that feature. You can't block people over there anymore. People who are trying to bug you. I mean, some people have followed me on Blue Sky that are like, okay, what's going on here? You know, I'm sure they're not real, but like really young women trying to follow older guys, white guys like me. I don't know what it is. It happens on Facebook. You can block them. Some money scam trying to follow me. I blocked them. But really, only about 3. Otherwise, I'm finding all my friends over here. Mark Elias, Ben Mycelis, and his brothers who run the Midas Touch itself. You know, Simon Rosenberg, Jasmine Crockett, AOC. We're going to hear from both of those fine women in this show. One of the things I retweeted, or it's not called retweet. I'm not sure what we're going to call it over here on Blue Sky when you do a post. Maybe we'll just say a post. I don't know, but it should be something fun like a sun ray, because blue sky means it's clear and the sun's out. I don't know. Anyway, somebody wrote, it looks like one of those things that's at a restaurant or something where you kind of a black chalkboard. And I just thought this was interesting. We are not all in the same boat. We are in the same storm. Some people have yachts, some have canoes, and some are drowning. Just be kind and help when you can. That's the situation we find ourselves in. I have been getting a lot of information sent to me by some of you. I thank you for doing that very much. In this crazy time, I've gotten so much extra stuff. It's hard for me to organize it. But there are some main points I want to talk about. And people are assessing what happened on Election Day. I say that we should not get mad when we lose. We don't need to look for blame. We need to keep our wits about us in order to do better next time. I'm glad to say that that's pretty much happening. I'm not seeing the normal blame game. I'm not seeing the normal turn on who we loved last week and now we hate him. Everybody's still saying Kamala Harris was a great candidate. She had a really, really huge task before her, and she did an incredible job of doing it. However, there still are some things that the Democratic Party itself, which would include going all the way up to messaging at our presidential candidate level. Somebody that I know who listens to this show made a very good point. Yes, she did talk about economic things. She talked about providing $25,000 for a down payment on a new home. She talked about getting rid of your college loans. She talked about child subsidies, $6,000 for a child. But still, the people who aren't doing any of those things feel left out. Now, I wouldn't benefit from any of those things at this point either. Now, I would have 20 years ago, as far as getting a home and having a child, but I would have never benefited from relieving college loans. But I don't get mad about it and feel left out. I want people to go to college. I did not have a chance to go to college. And it was because of money. I couldn't afford it. My parents couldn't really afford it. They might have been able to afford some sort of education for me. I did go to broadcast school. That cost seriously a total of $1,500. Of course, $1,500 at that time in today's dollars would be, I think, $15 million, because that's how long ago it was. But anyway, I still want people's college loans to be relieved because I know it's better for all of us. So I'm kind of sick of people feeling left out. And why do us Democrats always have to be the ones to make sure everyone feels good? I'm getting pretty sick of that. I mean, if you voted for Donald Trump because you felt left out by the Democratic Party, then fuck you, basically is how I feel. I'm sick of it. But it is what it is, right? I'm not talking about Republicans right now because obviously their messaging is crazy. But nobody can do it but Trump. So in 2028, he's probably not going to be on Earth anymore, which will be great. But if he is, he can't run again unless he changes everything by becoming a dictator. But if somebody else is running, I don't care who it is, they're not going to be able to do what Trump did. Sadly, in this country, people were too enamored because he was on TV. He was a TV star. And then they think he's funny. I never thought he was funny. I think he's a fucking idiot. But sadly, we have an awful lot of idiots in this country. Yes, I'm calling you an idiot if you voted for Trump. I know we're all supposed to be friends now. I'm not friends with Nazis and white supremacists. All right? I will not be your friend. So, as you can tell, I'm still pretty pissed off. I'm trying to talk about something else here. Trying to make a point. This person pointed out to me, even though Kamala was talking about these economic things, and even though she said, I know prices are still too high, and we're going to do this, this, and this to try and bring them down. There was another good point made. Actually, Simon Rosenberg made this, and so did a lot of other people, that's kind of a no-no. You don't point out what your opponent wants there to be a problem. We shouldn't be pointing out, yes, prices are too high. We just need to skip to the solution. But I'm still not blaming Kamala Harris for that. The good point that my friend who listens to the show a lot made is that she never talked to the worker who's not planning or able to buy a house at all. Maybe isn't married or has a partner that they would buy a house with. Maybe they don't want to buy a house. Maybe they don't want to ever have kids. And maybe they can't or don't want to go to college. So those three major things that she talked about as economic plans don't fit an awful lot of people. We still need to go down further to the people who are really hurting and let them know we're thinking of them, because the Republicans aren't thinking of you if that's where you are. And by the way, this is where I was in my life, say 30 years ago or less, 25 years ago. I had no money. I had a crappy apartment. I couldn't really afford a car. I had an old pickup truck. Man, I've got a lot of stories about that truck, and they're funny. I'll have to do a special series, maybe, on my old pickup truck that I owned in the 90s. But this person, I thought, made a good point. We're still leaving a lot of people out. You're hearing people talk about how the Democrats and Republicans are talking about trans issues. It's absolutely nuts that the Republicans are making it. It's all they're talking about. It's all they're doing in Washington. They're not talking about the economy. They're not talking about lowering prices. On this subject, you've heard Nancy Mace is putting up a bill saying that no trans women can use the women's bathroom, and it's because the first trans woman has been elected to Congress, who sounds like a really great person who is just sticking to her guns, saying, I didn't run to make history. I didn't run for any of this. I don't care what bathroom I need to use. I ran to help my fellow Delawareans, I think. Is that what you call them? She's from Delaware. Actually doing a great job of reacting to this by kind of not really reacting to this. But Nancy Mace is putting a lot of attention on this, and I do believe it is overreach by the Republicans. But here's a good point made by a representative from Massachusetts, Representative Jim McGovern. We played him on here before because he says a lot of great things on the House floor. And here's what he says on this subject of the Republicans being absolutely obsessed with this transgender thing.
The truth is that this is not what people voted for. They voted for their pocketbooks, and frankly, I don't blame them. You know who I do blame? I blame the billionaires who have rigged our country against working people and spent the last 4 decades squeezing every penny they could out of people. I blame the politicians, including the incoming administration, who have abandoned workers and who have done nothing while the rich get richer and everyone else gets screwed. My friends on the other side, they want to blame trans people. Guess what? Trans people aren't the ones raising people's grocery prices. Big corporations are. They want to blame immigrants. And here's the deal. Immigrants aren't the ones denying health insurance claims, Mr. Speaker. It's the billion-dollar insurance companies that do that on a daily basis. And they want to blame woke this and woke that. What's woke about thinking special interests should not be able to buy tax breaks? What's woke about telling Chevron and Exxon that they can't dump toxic chemicals into our air and water? What's woke about thinking it's wrong to give tax breaks to billionaires while the rest of us get screwed? It is time for us to get serious about fixing this country and making sure it works for everyone. And instead, we have BS bills that allow the new administration to go after any group who disagrees with the government and shut them down. So my friends on the other side can keep doing whatever the hell this is. Good luck with that.
That, again, is Jim McGovern, a Democratic representative from Massachusetts, making the point, again, that it's the Republicans that are screwing you over. It's the Republicans who are obsessed with transgender issues. And there should not be billionaires in the world. You know, how much money do you need? It's all about power. Why do you need all the power? You don't seem to have any kind of imagination to enjoy living your life. Is Elon Musk having fun? All his kids hate him. His kids hate him. Everyone hates him. Is he having fun trying to amass power and money? By the way, the power he gets is Trump throwing him a rubber dog bone into the corner saying, go chew on it. I didn't use Trump's voice. Trying not to. And then write up a report and give it to me so I can throw it in the garbage without reading it. That's the power that Elon Musk was given in this administration. And he's too stupid to see that that is all the power that he's getting. It is time to start giving people like AOC more power within our party. She is great at just talking to people, which is what a lot of us older people in the Democratic Party, we're walking on eggshells all the time with our messaging. And it's because the Republicans just harass us and harass us. So we have to be careful. We have to be careful when we talk about transgender issues because we want to protect transgender people. The Republicans want to kill them. So then we mention it and then they make fun of us and do all this crazy crap. And a lot of people go, well, I don't know that I agree or understand what this whole transgender thing is either. So then the Republicans feed them a bunch of BS about it and they believe it. And then they hear us defending that. We don't know that we're defending absolute BS. We're not actually defending transgender people. We're defending what the Republicans want you to think is going on there. And apparently they want you to think that if you're transgender, you, are a rapist or a sexual assault person, which, again, all of those people are on the Republican side. So thank you, Jim McGovern. Now, one thing, and we keep running out of time here. There's so much to talk about. But one thing I really want to say, changes that need to happen. We'll talk a little bit more about that in the next segment. But before we go to a break, I want to play you AOC talking about this thing with Nancy Mace and transgender issues.
What Nancy Mace and what Speaker Johnson are doing are endangering all women and girls. Because if you ask them, what is your plan on how to enforce this? They won't come up with an answer. And what it inevitably results in are women and girls who are primed for assault because people are going to want to check their private parts in suspecting who is trans and who is cis and who's doing what. And so the idea that Nancy Mace wants little girls and women to drop trow in front of who? An investigator? Who would that be? In order because she wants to suspect and point fingers at who she thinks is trans is disgusting. It is disgusting. And frankly, all it does is allow these Republicans to go around and bully any woman who isn't wearing a skirt because they think she might not look woman enough. People have a right to express themselves, to dress how they want, and to be who they are. And if a woman doesn't look woman enough to a Republican, they want to be able to inspect her genitals to use a bathroom. It's disgusting. And everybody, no matter how you feel on this issue, should reject it completely. What are they doing? They're doing this so that Nancy Mace can make a buck and send a text and fundraise off an email. They're not doing this to protect people. They're endangering women. They're endangering girls of all kinds. And everybody should reject it. It's gross.
It's gross. It is. It's disgusting. Why are these people so infatuated with genitalia? We're not... I'm not going to keep going in circles with it. But we need to figure out how to take messaging back. We need to talk to people. I talked about this 2 weeks ago in the last show. We need to learn how to talk to people and stop with all this walking on eggshells. Make sure that we call people the right thing. Make sure that we refer to things in a politically correct way. Yeah, we need to be respectful of everybody. I want to call people what they want to be called. What we're doing isn't working. What we're doing isn't working. So I'll lighten it up when we come back, I promise. I'm getting more angry here because I do see a lot of hope. I really do see a lot of hope in our future. I am very optimistic about our future. And I'll talk about why when we come back on A Satellite View. Satellite View. If you like the music here, go to toddmikkelson.com. Click on the music link. You can find the music you hear here and a lot of things that I have written over the years. Also, go to Instagram. Find Todd Mikkelson And follow me. I need followers on Instagram. I had to go to the dentist twice since Election Day. Once for a procedure and then again to check how that procedure is going. The first time was 2 days after Election Day, November 7th. And they take your blood pressure at the beginning. And my blood pressure was astonishingly high. It was kind of scary. I asked if I should be driven to the hospital. It was 155/92, which is really high. And I was pretty bummed out. And then about a week and a half later, I went back again. And they took my blood pressure, and it was back down to normal. This is a serious story. I'm not kidding. Trump and his BS is very unhealthy for America. He says he's going to make America healthy again by getting a vaccine denier in as head of our Health and Human Services. It is not healthy for us. Also, getting reaction from people, from listeners here on the podcast. Somebody I know pointed out something really smart. I kind of texted, how are you doing these days? I kind of said it's hard after the election day. This person said, I gave Trump 4 years of my sanity. I'm not giving him anymore. Then this person went to a show and ended up having sex with a stranger. So I think that's a great therapeutic thing to be doing. Sadly, I don't know any strangers, but if I did, anyway, this is actually true. People are smart who listen to this show. They know how to take care of themselves. Yeah, I pointed out some other things. I'm getting a lot of articles that I'm reading that are really giving great perspective on a lot of things. The split between rural and urban areas in the United States, there are a lot of things to study here on what went wrong. Also, I still don't rule out nefarious things. There were ads ran by Elon Musk's money. I don't know what group, but some group that has enough money to fund. They put ads out to Jewish people saying Kamala is pro-Palestinian and against Israel. They sent it then to to Muslim people saying that she's pro-Israel and wants Israel to kill all the Muslims. These were ads that were ran. There were more of this kind of thing. Very disingenuous. Lying to people. Putting out contradictory ads. And Republicans have to do this whenever they get in the White House since Nixon. The last legitimate elected Republican as president, Eisenhower. And I plan on doing very soon a series on that because I have done an awful lot of research on this over the years. And I decided I was going to write it up and do a special series here. So it's happening again. It happened again. And who knows what else Elon Musk did? Because we saw with our own eyes that Kamala Harris was going to win this. And then she didn't. I want to say one thing. Usually when we lose, I hear a lot of Democrats super mad. Like in 2016 especially, mad at everybody, pointing fingers at everybody. Oh, Bernie would have beat him. I don't believe that's true. But a lot of people that's still controversial to say to fellow Democrats. That's not really happening this time. I think people are really going, wow, what is going on here? We need to figure it out. Another thing that is really kind of overwhelming right now, along with the oligarchs who, by the way, is an illegal alien. He worked as an illegal alien years ago, Elon Musk. He should be thrown out of the country because he worked without a work visa in the United States. It expired and he stayed here and kept, getting money. Melania Trump did the same thing. And her family was brought in through chained migration, things that Trump wants to end. Anyway, that's beside the point. There's just so many beside the point issues. I think one main thing that we need to also think about, information and disinformation and misinformation. we really need to figure out how to handle that. And I don't necessarily really have ideas, although I'm seeing the future in Blue Sky. The really nice Pleiadian lady who runs Blue Sky, the CEO of Blue Sky, I think is going to take really great care of the United States and the world. I see this as a great restart, and there is a mass exodus going on from X. Mass exodus. I'm still on X/Twitter, and I heard somebody have the idea too that we should pick a day, maybe in January, to everybody on the same hour cancel your X account and just make the whole thing crash to the ground. That'd be great. I don't know how to manage such a thing, but I really do see optimistic things in the future. First of all, Trump does not have a mandate. He will not get 50% of the votes. And the margin by which he won this, supposedly, is the closest margin in probably 100 years. Another thing that I think we need to think of is that one day, one election, one person, one group of people cannot change the trajectory of our lives and the world. They can be a pain, I was going to say in the balls, which is what I would usually say. So I'm going to say it. They can be a pain in the balls for a while, but Trump does not have the brains, and he doesn't have the people around him that have the brains to do the things that he says he's going to do. He cannot deport 10 to 20 million people. And if he did, our economy would crumble, and everyone would see that it was his fault. Now, our economy crumbling would really hurt a lot of people, but he can't do that. He can't. I'm not saying he can't do it because it's not fair. I'm saying it cannot be done. It takes resources that don't exist in order to do that. Other things that he wants to do. People aren't going to stand for getting rid of vaccines. He can't try generals for treason. He can't do it. First of all, you can't really commit treason unless there's an enemy involved. And he's just saying, though these generals did something I don't like, so I think they committed treason. And by the way, those generals did what the president at the time wanted them to do. He's saying that what they did in Afghanistan with the Afghanistan withdrawal, which, by the way, was Trump's plan anyway to begin with. Trump's the one who made it into a disaster. Biden handled it as well as it possibly could. We got an immense amount of people out of there, and we lost very few. Of course, losing one is always horrible, but we ended a 20-year-old war. That war was going on during Trump. That war ended under Biden. He can't try generals for doing what their commander-in-chief ordered them to do. So he's an idiot, and all the people around him are idiots. You hear this guy who he's calling the border czar. I think it's him who's talking about all the deportations, and he's saying, if you don't cooperate with us, you better just get out of our way because we're going to do this. And it's like, the guy's an idiot. If you see him on TV saying these things, the notion you're going to get in your head is, wow, this guy sounds like an idiot. The darkness has left the planet, but there are still the darkness people. There are still some people who are members of the darkness who were too stupid to get on the train when the real darkness left the planet. So these are the people that we now, and I gave an analogy about it in the last show. You'll have to go, I'm not going to retell it. Go to the last show and listen to it, and you can hear my analogy about that more in depth. And there are some sad things about this as well. Trump, I think there are 6 people now who have, including a woman, who have sexual misconduct problems going on legally. There are rapists and pedophiles that he wants to be in his cabinet. Funny thing, I thought they're the ones who think that the Democrats are pedophiles, but it seems like all the pedophiles turn out to be Republicans that Donald Trump wants in his cabinet. So aside from them being rapists, and by the way, Pete Hegseth, the details about that came out in a police report about him raping a woman. And I was talking about it with Heidi, and she stopped me. She doesn't even want to hear it. These things are so disgusting that women don't even want to hear it. They don't even want to hear your details, Pete Hegseth. You silly, stupid monster. But aside from these people being horrible monsters, also they're just not qualified. I think I heard somebody say there's over 1 million employees. You know, it's all of the military personnel, everybody who works at the Pentagon, and others. So Pete Hegseth doesn't know how to run that. And Matt Gaetz doesn't know how to be attorney general. He's never even tried a case in court. Jasmine Crockett had to look him up on Google to see if he even had his law degree license. And here's what she says. I think this is very poignant. This is something that we need to change. And this goes along with a point I'll make after I play Representative Jasmine Crockett pointing this out.
Because the reality is that we have someone that is not qualified morally or otherwise to be president of the United States. So why would his appointments be qualified? These are people that have railed against diversity, equity, and inclusion, trying to say that diverse candidates are somehow not qualified. But the reality is that what they want to do is more of this, is put people that are not qualified in and say, well, you know what, because he's my homeboy, he is qualified. That's not enough. That is what the good old boy system has always been about. And it's why we have not ever reached our maximum potential, because we do take the real qualified people out of the running because they don't bend the knee or because culturally their background is a little different.
Very good point. We're not at our best when we're not having people run the government that are qualified to run the government. Of course, the government is going to fail when you have a bunch of idiots running the government. That's what the Republicans always do. George W. Bush, that's the best you got for a president? You're all a bunch of idiots. Jesus Christ. And now Donald Trump. It's a fucking joke. We need to stop thinking of these people as rock stars. We need to on our side as well. Kamala Harris, I think, proved to all of us that she's the leader that the country and the world needs right now. She would be a great leader. Yes, she would be very qualified. But I have to admit, you know, we have this poster of her that an artist made. It's really cool. And I'm not going to take it down. I love Kamala Harris. I always have. And I maybe hold her in too high regard. Maybe I got too sad that she lost, that she didn't win. I won't even say she lost, but she didn't win, supposedly. And somebody else can be president. That's okay with me. I really think she would make a great president. But maybe the fact that I just am enamored with her, I don't need to be enamored with our president or my representatives. I happen to have met some of the people who represent me in the local level, like Kelly Morrison, and she's one of the best people I will ever meet in my life. But that's because I met her, and she's a great person. And she's doing a great job. Even if I don't like you, if you're doing a great job, then great, that's great. There are those people too. And the problem is, to be a great candidate, you kind of have to be like a celebrity or something. People on the left are talking about Jon Stewart running for president. I think Jon Stewart actually would be great. But that's because we think we need to have our celebrity. Because Trump is a celebrity. In 2028, Trump will probably be dead. Somebody else will be in there. They're not going to be able to do what Trump did because they don't have what he has. You know, people in this country are fooled by rock stars and TV stars. And we should not be mixing those with our politicians. One person, one day, one event, an election is not going to change the trajectory of the earth or your life. we're going to go on. Sadly, without Kamala Harris being our leader, we're going to go on. We're going to make the best of this, and we're going to figure out how to stop losing these elections. Of course, they are rigged. Just by having the Electoral College, which only existed because of slavery, it should have been abolished in the 1800s. That's a whole nother thing. Just having the Electoral College stacks everything against us. Having every state have the right to have 2 senators, whether that state has a population of 12 people or 8 million people. 8 million people get 2 senators, and then over there in that other state, 12 people get 2 senators. It's stacked against the vast majority of the people in this country. It is stacked against us. So the system does not work for the vast majority of people. And then Republicans have been cheating so much with gerrymandering and all of this. It's stacked against the vast majority of Americans. It really is. And we need to figure that out. We need to stop doing what we've been doing. We need to stop running in a panic. Just like in this show, we're running around down here on the ground and it's chaotic. And we need to go up to a satellite view and look back down at the Earth and remember what the Earth was like before we had all these rules, before we had our government, before we set up our Electoral College and our laws and everything, and get back to basics and remind ourselves how to talk to people, regular people, how to convince people that you should vote for our side. We all need to be behind our candidates. Part of why I do this podcast is hopefully it'll help you in spreading the message to people that you know or people that you come across. But we need to figure out how to do that. And we need to do it together because we are all in this together. The Republicans started building an infrastructure 40 years ago. We haven't started yet. There are things going on in the media. Right now, MSNBC and CNN are falling apart. MSNBC might get sold by Comcast. It's pretty astonishing, some of the news that's going on with that. But then you think about it, they have overpaid hosts that are celebrities. I always watch the Nicole Wallace show because I like Nicole Wallace, sometimes forgetting that she worked for George W. Bush in the White House. I haven't watched Nicole Wallace since Election Day. I start and it's like, this is BS. Why are you talking about this? We need to get to work here. So then I go on to like YouTube and I watch Midas Touch is talking about this certain thing. Wow, MSNBC, do they even know this certain thing's going on? They're not talking about this. This is important. We need to be learning about this. So you're going to hear things like legacy media is going out of style. I call it corporate media. And what is it called? New media, independent media is coming in and we need to start supporting it. And that is happening. And because Trump won and it went so badly for all of these TV shows and pundits and pollsters, MSNBC might just be collapsing in on itself. Possibly CNN as well. Would it be possible that these quote-unquote news channels would actually have journalists on again instead of pundits? I'm not sure if I'm going to do a show in a week because I'm going to now be in New York over Thanksgiving, but I may just stick one in anyway. You'll have to tune in and see if there's a show next week. If there's not a show next week, there definitely will be one the following week. And I continue to do the show. The election's not changing that. I just thought maybe we could change it into a comedy show or something if Kamala won. But no, we got to keep our nose to the grindstone here. We're all in this together. Let's keep each other sane and stick together. We will figure this out. Thank you so much for listening.
You've been listening to A Satellite View with Todd Mikkelson. Go to toddmikkelson.com for links and more information.